Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back to February 2nd, 1951, Sydney Greenstreet, starring as Nero-Wolfe in the New Adventures of Nero-Wolfe. This episode is entitled The Case of the Vanishing Shells. And somebody answer that phone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the ringing of that phone bell means mystery, adventure.
Nero-Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking. Mr. Wolfe? No, he isn't. Huh? Oh, well, for you, maybe he is.
I'm not here.
Oh, yes, yeah, he's always here.
I've gone out.
No, he seldom ever goes out.
I won't start on anything tonight.
Oh, sure, he'd love to start on a case tonight. What's your name? Oh, that's a beautiful name. Address?
Archie, it's another woman hang-up.
No, honest, I'm not Mr. Wolfe, but I'm his agent. Yeah, I'll be right over, miss. Goodbye.
What's her trouble? Where are you going?
Well, she said she's received some threatening notes and she's afraid to leave her hotel. So long, boss.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's that genius who is the bulkiest, balkiest, most ponderous, and most brilliant detective in the world. Yes, none other than that chairborne mass of unpredictable intellect, Nero-Wolfe. Created by Rex Stout and brought to you in a new series of adventures over this NBC network in the person of Mr. Sydney Greenstreet.
We prefer to call tonight's story The Case of the Vanishing Shells. It didn't seem to be difficult at first, but, well, I'm not a stupid individual, but so often I allow myself to become mesmerized by beautiful women. Heaven bless them. Doris Murray was such a woman. She phoned us first late one afternoon about 5 o'clock, then again at 5:30.
Very well, Mr. Goodwin, but I would prefer to see Mr. Wolfe.
Well, I said I'd be there at 6, Miss Murray.
I don't want to talk any longer on the phone. Please hurry. There's someone at the door.
I'll see you in the cocktail lounge at your hotel.
At 6 o'clock. That's half an hour. Don't fail. Who is it?
Emil Stoner.
Oh, come in, Emil. You got my call, darling. Here, let me take your briefcase.
I'll just put it here on the piano, Doris.
Oh, I'm terribly upset about those threatening notes, darling. I know it's upset you, too, but I'm determined to find out who it is. I'm not going to let them bluff me out of my first chance to play the star part in one of your shows.
But look, Doris, there's that other part.
Is that all I mean to you? Well, what can they divulge that'll harm us? What?
Several things. And I can't afford... I mean at this time...
You're frightened, Emil.
Doris, I'm going to give the star part to Paula.
Paula? You've been divorced for 4 years. Why?
Because I feel she
can play it better. Is that what you're going to say? Well, I can act rings around her.
Now, look, Doris. I know it's a big disappointment to you, but that's the way it is.
Get out. Get out. Go on across the hall to Paula. Give her the part. Louse up your show. She and that playwright of hers. Get out, Emil.
But, Doris...
You frightened little... Get out!
I believe, Mr. Wolfe, you're making a great mistake in not coming along.
Indeed. I'm sure that what attracts you could not possibly be of interest to me.
The gal needs help. Money is money.
Girls, money, fooey.
Yeah, well, we could have dinner out for a change. They have one of the finest chefs in town at that hotel.
You're most impolite. I'm trying to read this book.
Poetry.
Archie.
Yes, sir?
Shut up.
But we need money. That filthy green cabbage is necessary to our existence. This may be a tough case, you know.
You're sufficiently intelligent. Sometimes.
If I sat around like you do, I'd weigh 500 pounds, too.
Archie, leave the room. Besides, it's only 300.
What a way to run a business. Orchids, beer, books.
Don't keep the charming client waiting.
Okay, I'm going.
And always remember there is a telephone.
Thank you, waiter. Oh, good evening, Miss Moray. I'm Archie Goodwin.
Well, I didn't expect... please sit down.
Well, I think I should explain the absence of Nero-Wolfe. There's so much of him that it's not too convenient to transport it about. I do all the outside work.
And I'm sure you do it well. Mr...
Well, you know, some women call me Goodwin and some call me Mr. Goodwin, and,
Yes?
The unattached call me Archie.
Hello, Archie.
Oh, splendid. I'm glad to hear it. Now we can get right down to the nasty old business that's troubling you, Doris.
First, here's the $500 retainer fee.
We thank you. Now, what's the note about?
Well, there are 2 notes, both printed by hand.
Uh-huh.
Will you hand me my purse, please?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
Oh, I see. Doris Moray. If you fail to withdraw from the cast of Stoner's next production by start of rehearsals Monday, both you and Stoner will have a blasted reputation and perhaps other injuries from which you will be unable to recover.
The other one is like it, only more vehement.
Someone or a group of someones are intent on keeping you out of Stoner's shows, huh? It's too bad. His next one is said to be a sure smash hit and a star-making part for the leading woman.
Yes, Emil Stoner wants me to play it. He's been planning on it ever since David Banning wrote the play.
What does David Banning think of you playing the part?
Well, I don't think he's too enthused about it. You see, Mr. Stoner and Paula Kenyon have been divorced for 4 years, but she has continued to be his top leading woman. Now she's engaged to David Banning, who wrote this play.
Oh? Makes things a bit difficult.
Well, of course, Rick Hunter, Stoner's director, is...
Hunter's somewhat in favor of your playing the part.
Well, Rick Hunter is very fond of my work.
And very fond of you as well, huh?
Yes, unfortunately. I like Rick Hunter tremendously, but Emil Stoner has been of greater interest to me. In fact, we're more or less engaged, Mr. Goodwin.
Oh, well, had any words lately with the ex-Mrs. Stoner? Paula Kenyon, is that her name?
Paul and I were great friends when I first joined the Stoner Productions, but I don't know, I don't think she appreciated the fact that Mr. Stoner and Rick Hunter, the director, took such an interest in me.
Tell me, did you ever think you were in love with Rick Hunter?
Yes, at first I was thrilled by his artistic imagination. And then as time went on, I realized that he was subject to melancholia. Mr. Stoner was more stable, and I needed someone older to advise me.
Well, what's wrong with your reputation of Mr. Stoner's?
Well, there's nothing I fear, but I'm afraid Mr. Stoner is somewhat disturbed by these threats. He feels there's something in his past of sufficient import to really harm him. I think it's nonsense.
Well, then what we have to do is uncover this person or persons before you end up with ruined careers on Broadway. Where does the ex-Mrs. Stoner live?
Well, as a matter of fact, she lives just down the hall from me. Lived here for years.
Oh, well, I think it's advisable, honey, that you stay close to your room until we solve this thing.
Oh, but I'm not afraid for my life, Archie.
No? Well, I am. I'll see you into your room, Doris.
Oh, now, please, Mr. Goodwin, if you...
Oh, you don't trust the boy, huh?
Oh, well,
Such beautiful eyes.
Oh,
Lovely red hair. You could have the lead in my new play. I never wrote one, but for you, I'll try anything.
Come along.
Here's your bag.
Well, hello, Doris.
Oh, hello, Rick. Mr. Goodwin, this is Rick Hunter.
Hiya, Hunter. Nice shows you've been putting on.
I've just been admiring your work, Goodwin.
Oh, well, that's nice. I'm glad. Nothing like encouragement for a beginner, Mr. Hunter?
You're ready for the big time from what I saw. Heard from Emil Stoner today, Doris?
I talked to him once this morning. Have you been sitting in the cocktail lounge all afternoon?
Yeah. That I have, honey. I want to see you play that lead, baby. And I think I just about got it all settled.
Dreaming about it won't settle it. Liquor never accomplished anything in itself, Rick. Come on, Mr. Goodwin.
He's a very jealous man, Doris. In fact, right now, I can feel his thoughts piercing me between the shoulder blades. Oh, excuse me. Here's a phone book.
And we'll follow up on Archie's phone call in just a moment. February 2nd, 1951, The New Adventures of Nero-Wolfe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you sleep slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's me, February 2nd, 1951. You'll be listening to Sydney Greenstreet in a moment as Nero-Wolfe in the New Adventures of Nero-Wolfe.
Yes, Archie?
How do you know it's Archie?
I felt the time was exactly right for you to call.
I wish you felt it was time to earn some money.
Is this a worthwhile case?
Well, she's a beautiful redhead, and,
That, of course, makes it very worthwhile.
Yeah, well, I got $500 as a retainer.
Phooey, a pittance, and probably all you'll ever get.
What do you mean by that?
She's probably guilty.
Now, look, boss, she's the victim. Received notes threatening her reputation and her health if she plays the star part in Emil Stoner's new production. Also, they threatened Emil Stoner likewise. The playwright, Dave Banning, is engaged to Paula Kenyon. Incidentally, she lives here at the hotel, too, just down the hall from Doris.
I remember her. And the playwright wants Paula Kenyon to play the part. Well, Archie, you have only the beginning. It is probably too late to prevent whatever is going to happen.
Like what, for instance?
Have you found a body yet? Call me after you find the body.
What body? There's no body.
But there will be, Archie. There's always a body where you are concerned. Either a body beautiful or a dead one. Bye.
Thanks for seeing me to my room, Archie.
Oh, I'm not stopping here, Doris. I'll take a look inside.
But I'm not...
Oh, I insist. Part of my job, you know. If I fail to take every precaution, Mr. Wolfe would never... Well, look in that chair.
Emil.
Emil? Emil Stoner? Oh, 3 red dots on his shirt front. Doris, hold on.
I'm all right. Yes, I'm all right.
All right, sit down. That's it. Now, let's see. The body's still warm. What's this crumpled in his left hand? A horoscope. Between the fingers of his right hand, an unlit cigarette. Monogram PK.
Paula Kenyon.
This horoscope is from March. Something he picked up from your desk here?
I don't believe in astrology.
Where'd he get the cigarette with Paula Kenyon's monogram?
Poor Emil. Poor Emil. I didn't believe anyone would really harm us. Oh, why was I so stubborn?
When did you see him last?
Please, shouldn't we do something? Call the police.
No, not yet. When did you see him?
Why, I saw him this morning. I'm so shocked I can hardly think clearly.
Doris.
Yes?
There's a briefcase here on the piano with a newspaper on top of it.
What? Oh, it is. Yes, it's Emil's. He must have left it here this morning.
That's strange. Emil Stoner was bald, but...
But what?
Well, I'm sure he's a man who always wore a hat, but I see no hat.
Oh, he must have come up the elevator as I went down to meet you.
Who would know he'd come up here? Your director, Rick Hunter, he said he'd been in the bar all afternoon. What else was it he said? Thought he had everything just about settled.
Oh, no, Rick couldn't. He just... Oh, Mr. Goodwin, I couldn't believe that.
I can believe anything about anybody. I learned that the hard way. In my book, everybody's guilty until proved otherwise. Even you, baby.
What?
Even you. Yeah. A Herald Tribune newspaper. Are you sure you haven't seen him since this morning, Doris?
What are you doing? Absolutely nothing. Someone came in here and shot him. Call the police. I insist. Maybe...
What?
Maybe I did leave my door unlocked. Why did I do that?
Well, he couldn't have opened the door otherwise, could he?
No.
Give me the check room, please. Oh, hello. Do you know Mr. Emil Stoner, the producer? You do? Well, tell me, did he check his hat with you this afternoon or this evening? He didn't, huh? All right, thanks. He must have carried it up here to this floor. Doris, do you have a gun?
I own a gun. A small .25 automatic. But it's not here.
Where is it?
I had the handle repaired, and it's been in my dressing room for a week or 2.
I hate to do this, Doris, but I'm going to move the body away from the back of that chair. There. Yeah, 3 wounds. 1 bullet went through the upper part of the chest, out the middle of the back. I'd say right through the heart. By the angle of the wound, he was shot while sitting down.
Please, Mr. Goodwin, must we stay here?
I want to give this room a thorough going over. We'll go down to the lobby. I want to use that phone booth again. And, Doris, I hope...
I know what you're going to say. You'll hope that gun of mine...
is still in your dressing room at the theater.
Nero-Wolfe speaking.
Oh, Mr. Wolfe, may I have your autograph? I'm taking a correspondence course on how to be a detective, and I think you're a wizard.
It's so kind of you to say so.
I would be just thrilled to have your autograph on the bottom of a paycheck.
Why are you calling from a phone booth?
What? Who said I was?
It's obvious. There's no room tone reverberation.
Well, you shouldn't have to ask. You know everything before it happens.
You found the body then. It happened just before you got there.
Oh, now, look, I took the girl up to her room to be sure it was safe for her to go in, and... Okay. And there, sitting in a big leather chair, was Emil Stoner. Shot 3 times with a small caliber gun, dead about an hour. One shot went through the body from the upper part of the chest to the middle of back. Therefore, he was shot while sitting down. The killer was standing, huh?
I'm listening.
Oh, well, his left hand was clutching a horoscope folder, and between the index and second finger of the right hand was an unlit cigarette with a monogram on it, PK. Emil Stoner is bald, but there was no hat in the room. However, on the piano was his briefcase, and on top of it, a 4:00 afternoon edition of the Herald Tribune.
Better look in the briefcase, Archie. No weapon?
No weapon. But Doris Murray says she owns a .25 caliber automatic, and it's in her dressing room at the theater. Also, she claims she hadn't seen Stoner since this morning.
You found no empty shells about the floor?
None.
What did you do with the bullet?
What bullet?
The one which passed through his chest and lodged in the back of the leather chair. Are you there?
Boss, I'm a very stupid fella.
Stop bragging. The bullet.
Boss, there ain't no hole in the back of that chair. I just realized it. Maybe he was standing up. Then the killer must have been on stilts.
Archie, let us pretend, only pretend, that you're very observant. Now proceed to Paula Kenyon's apartment, just down the hall, you said, and see what she knows without divulging the fact that Stoner is dead, and look sharp.
My gears must be slipping.
Archie, do you know what great event will be celebrated tomorrow?
Yeah, my birthday. What'd you get me?
Cuthbert's correspondence detective course in 4 easy lessons. Bye.
This is Paula's apartment.
No answer. Let's see if it's open. Oh, there's no one inside. Come on in. Now, look, if anyone walks in on us, we found the door open and we just came in to wait, huh?
Which is the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Oh. Here on the desk we have a stack of horoscopes, Doris. And a box of Paula's monogrammed cigarettes.
Mr. Goodwin.
Huh?
This is Emil's gray fedora hat.
Then he was in this apartment this afternoon. What are you staring at? Oh, small pearl-handled automatic.
Yes.
.25 caliber. Yeah, it's been fired very recently. We won't touch it now. Does it look like yours?
Archie, it is mine.
Your initials?
I found old Jenkins, the stage doorman at the theater, to look in my dressing room, and... well, my gun isn't there.
Did you leave the gun out in plain view in the dressing room?
Yes, for several days anyway. Then I put it behind the mirror.
I suppose many people have seen it then.
I'm sure.
I hope, Doris, that your fingerprints are not the only ones on that gun.
If they use my gun to shoot him in my apartment, why would they bring the gun back here and leave it in plain sight?
Maybe they didn't do it just that way.
No?
His hat's here, the gun is here, and yet he's dead in your apartment.
How can you answer that?
Well, maybe he was sitting here waiting for Paula, and someone called him out and over to your place and shot him. That's no good. Doesn't make sense. Now, if he was sitting in this chair here and someone entered that door... Hey.
What is it?
Look in the chair back.
Huh?
Little round hole. Start looking for some empty shells around here.
Find something?
No, I want to make a call. He was shot with this automatic. 3 shells were ejected. I certainly vanished.
Nero-Wolfe speaking.
Archie, I'm at Paula Kenyon's. She's not here. Found his hat, a stack of horoscopes on the desk, box of monogrammed cigarettes, a .25 automatic which belongs to Miss Murray, recently fired, but not an empty shell in sight. No blood, but a single small hole in the back of the chair near the desk. Doris Murray is with me.
I will call Inspector Kramer now about the body and have ballistics check the bullets with the gun.
And the bullet in the chair back?
Did you find anything of particular importance in Emil Stoner's briefcase?
Yes, I found...
Never mind. Bring the girl here at once.
Okay, boss. Say, don't you think I'd better wait for Paula Kenyon? Uh-oh, here she is. Bye.
Bring her along, too, if you can. Goodbye.
Hello, Paula.
Well, Doris, what are you doing here? I wasn't aware that I left the door unlocked.
Seems to be contagious this evening. I left mine unlocked, too. Hello, Dave. Miss Kenyon, Mr. Goodwin.
Hello, Doris.
Hello.
Archie, this is Dave Banning, the playwright.
How are you, Mr. Banning?
How do you do?
I've heard all about your new play, and I wanted to meet you. Doris thought you might be over here, and the door was ajar, so we, well...
I just walked in. I hope you don't mind, Paula.
Certainly not. I'm used to people just walking in.
We were here a while ago and went down to the cocktail lounge for a while.
When does the play open, or have you cast it yet?
Mr. Stoner handles that part of it. Are you a prospective investor, Goodwin?
Oh, I've had a number of flings in the business. Matter of fact, I expect to see Mr. Stoner tonight.
You do?
Tonight? Here? I don't understand. What's this fencing all about? Doris, you're not just visiting me. We've hardly spoken for... Oh.
Is that your gun, Miss Kenyon?
It's yours, Doris.
Yes, that's right, Paula. It was in my dressing room.
When did you see Mr. Stoner last?
But I haven't seen him today.
I had lunch with him. Why?
What hat did he wear at lunchtime, Mr. Banning?
Why, the gray fedora.
How did it get here? That's Amy's. What is this? What are you two doing here?
Where is Emil? Come on, cut out the melodramatics.
Mr. Stoner is dead.
He's what? Paula.
And without any further explanation, I shall have to ask you to accompany me downtown.
Police?
If you will, please.
Yes, if you will, please. From February 2nd, 1951, Sydney Greenstreet, The New Adventures of Nero-Wolfe. The conclusion comes up following our bottom-of-the-hour break, and we have next half hour, Fibber McGee and Molly, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station. Now the conclusion of The New Adventures of Nero-Wolfe, February 2nd, 1951.
They're still in the front room, boss. I'll bring them into your office when you're ready.
Yes, Archie, I'm sure they're all anxious to talk. They've been sitting there for an hour now.
Maybe we ought to make some sort of explanation to them, huh?
Why? This sort of technique should work very well in this particular instance.
Yeah, but I don't know about that director, Rick Hunter. He may be difficult.
Does anyone know that you found the completed and signed contract in the briefcase?
No one.
Mm-hmm. Good. Now we have the threat notes, the contract, the afternoon newspaper, the briefcase, the fedora hat, the gun, no ejected shells, the horoscope, the cigarette, and the two chairs. One with a small hole in it.
Come in.
Ah, Inspector Kramer at last. What have you?
Well, we covered every inch of that place and didn't find a single empty shell. There were 2 bullets in the body and the one that passed through him into the chair back in Paula Kenyon's place. They were all 3 fired from Doris Murray's little automatic.
Any fingerprints on the gun?
None but Doris Murray's.
Not unexpected, to say the least.
The bullet that was lodged in the chair in Paula's place went through his heart. Now, he was apparently shot in her room, but...
But how did he get into Doris Murray's place? I'll be able to explain that when we locate those 3 empty shells, Inspector. Bring our guests in, Archie.
Come in, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nero-Wolfe. Miss Paula Kenyon.
Hello.
Miss Doris Murray.
Hello, Mr.
Rick Hunter, the director.
How do you do?
David Banning, the playwright.
How do you do?
Won't you be seated, please? May I present Inspector Kramer of Homicide?
How do you do, Inspector?
Mr. Wolfe has asked you here to give such details as you recall, which might be of assistance to him in the solution of the murder of Emil Stoner.
Mr. Hunter, as the director, whom did you favor as the star of your next production?
Why, Doris Murray.
You have been deeply interested in Miss Murray?
Hasn't done me much good.
But you do love her?
I do.
And you are deeply interested in the progress of her career?
I am, most assuredly.
Did you know that Mr. Stoner had made out and signed a contract for a certain woman to play the lead in the new show?
No.
You knew that Doris Murray had a gun in her dressing room?
Yes.
You were in the hotel cocktail lounge all afternoon until you met Doris and Mr. Goodwin?
Yes.
And you could have seen Emil Stoner into the lobby and go to the elevator?
I could.
Could you prove that you never left the cocktail lounge until you met Doris and Archie?
Maybe not.
Did you see Mr. Stoner go into the elevator?
I did.
Mr. Banning. You wrote the new play. Were you in favor of Miss Murray playing the part?
I know. I felt Paula Kenyon was better suited for it.
You and Miss Kenyon are engaged to be married.
Yes.
If anything happened to Mr. Stoner, you, as next in line, could assign the role as you saw fit.
That's correct.
Did you know that Mr. Stoner had made a final decision on the part?
I did not.
He didn't tell you anything about it at lunch today?
No, I made a strong plea for Paula.
You know about the gun in Miss Murray's dressing room?
Everyone did, apparently.
Very well. Miss Kenyon, did Emil Stoner visit your apartment often?
Not often. We were not on too friendly terms.
Did you phone him to visit you this afternoon?
No, who said I did?
No one? I merely asked. Were you, by any chance, still in love with Emil Stoner?
Now, see here, I don't appreciate that kind of talk.
Relax, Mr. Banning.
I was not in love with Mr. Stoner. That was over.
You and Doris Murray were at one time very friendly.
Yes, till I found out how two-faced she was. Emil was a fool to fall for her, but you couldn't tell him anything. All she's interested in is a career.
You're not interested in your career, Miss Kenyon?
Well, yes, in a way.
You wanted the star part. You phoned Stoner this morning.
Yes, but he said he was going to give it to her.
You knew about Doris's gun?
No, I
You
didn't.
recognized it immediately, boss.
Well, yes, I knew. What if I did?
Then you wrote these threatening notes to Miss Murray.
I did not. I did not.
You didn't know the contract had already been signed?
No.
Then you still had a motive to kill him.
I wrote those notes. She had nothing to do with it. You can check them on my typewriter.
We know, Mr. Banning. We've already done it.
I know how it looks, but Paula didn't do it. I knew he was coming to her place. I called him. I knew Paula was out. I did it.
If so, what did you do with the ejected shells?
I threw them away.
How many?
3.
Oh, no, David, please don't.
I don't believe you, Mr. Banning. Miss Murray, did you know the contract had been made out and signed?
No,
You're lying, Miss Murray. You said you didn't see Stoner this afternoon.
I didn't.
You called him and asked him to visit you. You did get the threat notes, and they frightened you. But you didn't know they would frighten Stoner.
I did not phone him, nor did I see him.
Yes, you did. His briefcase was on the piano. And he was there in the late afternoon because he brought with him a 4 o'clock edition of the Herald Tribune.
What if he was there? I didn't kill him.
He told you then about his decision. He left hurriedly, forgot the briefcase, and went to Paula's apartment to wait for her.
That's not true. That's not true.
Filled with rage, you got your gun, which you said had disappeared from your dressing room, then calmly put it into your bag, walked across the hall, and shot him as he sat reading a horoscope.
No.
Archie, a handbag. Thank you. Notice, I run my finger through a hole in the corner. She fired through the bag. And see, 3 empty shells.
No.
And here's a contract made out to Paula Kenyon. Too bad, Miss Murray.
Well, that's a good day's work, boss.
Some beer, Archie.
Right. Say, tell me, how did Stoner, if he was shot in Paula's room, get back to Doris's room? She couldn't carry him.
Oh, now, Archie, that's not too difficult. He walked.
Shot through the heart? Impossible.
That's a fallacy, Archie. Official medical records show that people have walked a block in such instances.
No wonder Doris was so shocked when she saw him back in her room.
The shooting took place after she called us, and it seemed unbelievable that anyone would leave the gun and not the ejected shells. Ergo, the gun must have been concealed when fired.
Yeah. Paula would have no reason to do that, because she was in her own apartment.
And these men are not the type who would have fired through their coats.
And Doris, before she started down the hall, would naturally conceal the gun, huh?
In her handbag. Where else?
Boss, midnight. It's another day. I'm a year older.
Yes. Cuthbert's correspondence detective course in 4 easy lessons. Happy birthday, Archie.
You have been listening to The New Adventures of Nero-Wolfe, starring Sydney Greenstreet. Tonight's transcribed story was based on the characters created by Rex Stout. This is an Edwin Fadiman program, produced and directed by J. Donald Wilson. In the cast were Gerald Moore as Archie Goodwin, and Gene Bates, Betty Lou Gerson, Bill Johnstone, Peter Leeds, and Vic Perrin. Next week at this same time, Nero Wolfe and Archie will bring you The Case of the Party for Death, Don Stanley speaking.
February 2nd, 1951, The Adventures of Nero-Wolfe on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, it's time for us to stroll to Wistful Vista, 79 Wistful Vista to be precise, and let's check in on the goings-on with Fibber McGee and Molly and Gregory the cat.
This argument here at 79 Wistful Vista has been going on since yesterday. It's about a cat. A cat that evidently gets around town quite a bit because Mr. McGee says...
I keep telling you guys he lives here. My gosh, Doc, the old-timer, why can't you guys be honest and reasonable?
Honest about my cat? Reasonable about my cat?
It ain't your cat. Look at him curled up there on the sofa, happy as a pig in a puddle. Anybody can see that by rights, Gregory belongs to me and Molly.
How can the cat be yours when you don't even know his right name, Johnny? His name's Beauregard. The day I picked him up in the alley...
I picked him up in an alley myself during a rainstorm a month ago, and I named him Homer. Look at this. The cat knows his own name, even if you rum-dums don't. Here, Homer. Come on, Homer. There. He knows his name is Homer.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Here, Gregory. Come to Daddy, Gregory. Yeah. How do you like that, you big lard head? Gregory knows his name ain't Homer.
Oh, you fellas are getting him all mixed up. Pay no attention to him, Beauregard. What's your name, boy? Beauregard.
Well, what did you three boys prove with that demonstration? That you don't have to be a bull to be bullheaded?
Oh, hi, Molly.
Hi there.
Did you three actually sit here arguing about that cat all night, or did you go home and come back early this morning?
I told Johnny last night, daughter, I ain't leaving here without my cat. What time's breakfast served here?
Go out and buy your breakfast.
You know, just between the four of us, this whole thing is beginning to look ridiculous to me. 3 grown men...
Well, frankly, Molly, I feel a little degraded by the whole silly argument myself.
Then go home, Doc.
But I just don't like to be shoved around. I happen to come from a long line of pioneers.
Pioneers? Ha! You got a pine head to go with them, too, you big knothead.
My great-grandfather homesteaded his land and fought off rustlers, cattle thieves, and all kinds of crooks.
Hooray for him.
He didn't let anybody take his property away from him, and by George, nobody's going to take my property either, and that cat is mine.
Ha! Look, fellas, I'm an old man.
That's for sure.
I live alone, and sometimes I get lonesome. Little old Beauregard here, he sort of fills a gap in a lonely man's life.
Oh, sure.
When I wake up in the morning, he's sitting there on the foot of the bed, smiling at me.
He wasn't sitting there last Monday. He was here at his own happy little home.
He wasn't here the week before that. He was at my house, where he lived.
Oh, for heaven's sake. Come on, Gregory. I'll fix you some breakfast. These 3 debaters can sit here and...
Who the heck can that be at this time of the morning? Come in.
Oh, it's our neighbor. Hello, Lester.
Good morning, Miss McGee. Mr. McGee. Hi, gentlemen.
Oh,
Hello there, son.
I hate to barge in like this before breakfast, Miss McGee, but Sally and me, well, we heard all this arguing and carrying on over here last night, and
It's all about a cat, Lester.
A cat? Must be solid gold with maybe diamond eyes from all the noise I heard.
It's just a plain cat, but we all love him. The thing is, he seems to divide his time between the doctor, the old-timer, and us. And the big question is, who owns him?
It's very simple, Les. Gregory is our cat, and these guys keep...
You just hush up a minute. You hear me? Just hush.
She said, shut up, Johnny.
Oh, for the love of...
All 3 of them claim ownership, do they? See, now, that's a very interesting situation, isn't it?
Not to me it isn't, Lester. I'm getting sick of it.
Well, sir, you know, when I was a kid, I remember my dad got into an argument like this with a next-door neighbor.
Over a cat?
No, it was over a Dominecker hen, Doctor. She's a very smart little hen, I remember. Knew a lot of tricks, like how to lay an egg with 2 yolks and how to get all the corn kernels out of a new garden without disturbing the dirt.
Sounds very talented.
My dad and the neighbor, each one claimed that the Dominecker hen was his. And, well, sir, I tell you, it looked like bloodshed.
Well.
But my mother, she finally come up with a solution for the argument. Both sides were completely satisfied with her decision.
She must have used a lot of diplomacy and tact.
No, she used a roasting pan and a pinch of sage. Both sides agreed they never enjoyed that hen so much. Well, I better get on home now and tell Sally what's going on. If you gentlemen ever get to arguing over a hen, let me know and I'll call my mother.
Well, thanks, Les. You've been a big help.
I'm coming, Gregory. I'll go fix Gregory and myself some breakfast. When you three finally settle this argument, you can join us, and not before. I'll not have my breakfast ruined listening
Smell that bacon cooking out there.
I'm starving.
Me too, Johnny. You reckon daughter would just give me a spoonful of coffee to build up my strength so I can argue?
Certainly she'll give you some coffee. I can get you some bacon and eggs for you guys, too. Buttered toast and jam.
Oh, stop.
All you got to do is just sign this little document that I'll write out here that says you hereby cease and desist from claiming that Gregory, the cat that belongs to me, belongs to you.
Never. Of all the dirty, rotten pressure tactics.
It's un-American, that's what it is. Sure smells good.
Getting us over here to torture us into signing a false document. Oh, that bacon odor. If this isn't the most inhuman form of torture you ever...
Well, Dad, rat it, I'm as hungry as you guys. Shut up, Gregory. You've had your breakfast. Now look here, you two.
McGee, look who dropped in.
Huh?
Hi, mister. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Oh, hi, Teeny. Hi.
Hello, little girl.
What you doing, everybody? Oh, look, what a pretty kitty. Whose is he?
That's a good question, Teeny.
Yeah.
Gee, whosever he is, could I have him? Could I? I always wanted a pretty kitty with a funny-looking face like that and crooked ears. Could I have him? Could I? Whosever?
No.
Say, now, this could be a very interesting solution, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Hey, that ain't a bad
You know
idea.
that? All right. Will all the stockholders in Alley Cat Incorporated please come to order? I move we dissolve our merger and donate freely and generously all shares of stock to Little Teeny.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye. Motion carried unanimously. Meeting adjourned.
Here you are, Teeny. All yours.
Sure, Cat Teeny.
Yeah, take care,
Teeny.
Oh, boy, thanks. Gee, I'll take him right home and fix him a nice soft bed and get him something to eat. Hey, Willie. Willie, look what I got. A genuine alley cat. He's all mine.
Ooh, boy, well, I'm sure glad that's settled.
So am I. Made the little girl very happy.
Yep. Now let's keep the old man from starving.
Yeah.
Well, come on now, fix your breakfast.
Yeah, that's what I've been waiting for.
More coffee, Doctor?
Just a touch, please.
You can splash me a bucketful, daughter. Sure good coffee.
I'm stuffed. You know, I wish Teeny'd come by here yesterday and took that cat.
So do I. Honestly, Gregory just about ran McGee's life around here.
Yeah, he did when he was here.
Had McGee waiting on him, throwing a ball and running to pick it up for him, feeding him liver.
Oh, I know what you mean. I don't know how many times I'd finally get to bed about 3 a.m. after a tough session at the hospital, and Homer, as I called him, would start yowling for me to come downstairs and let him in.
He sure give me a bad time, fellas.
Yeah?
That blamed cat would wake me up in the morning by walking across my face, and then he'd sit there with my tore-up carpet slipper in his mouth and sneer at me. Beauregard, I used to say.
Miss McGee, here he is. Here he is back, everybody. Here's your nasty old cat.
What?
Oh, no.
I took him home and he scratched me, and then he scared my dog Margaret, and Margaret ran under the house. And then he tore my mama's stockings, and here's your dirty old cat. Who wants him? Goodbye, you bad cat.
Yeah, but Teeny, wait.
Well, it was a fine breakfast, daughter. I gotta run along now and get to work. And, Doctor, I hereby give you my full interest in the cat. Go to the doctor, Homer.
Oh, no, I got some patients to see. Gregory, you stay here with McGee. Stay here, Gregory.
Oh, no, you don't. You wait, old-timer. You take Beauregard with you. Go with the old-timer, Beauregard.
He's yours, kid.
You take him.
Wait a minute, I don't want him.
He's not mine. Get him out of here. I don't want that.
on the phone?
Wally Wimple. Says a stray cat just walked in there, and the old-timer told him it's ours.
Oh, dear. Gregory.
Yep. Seems his wife is scared to death of cats, and when Gregory yelled at her, she run in the bathroom and locked the door.
Oh, here we go again. Wants you to come pick it up, does he?
Nope. Want to know if he can keep him. I gave him our blessing.
Oh, happy day.
You said it. So long, everybody.
Goodbye.
Fibber McGee and Molly, transcribed, is brought to you Mondays through Fridays at this time by Miles Laboratories, makers of Alka-Seltzer. The old-timer is played by Bill Thompson, Dr. Gamble by Arthur Q. Bryan, and Les Nelson by Robert Easton. The Cap was feelingly played by Jack Crucian. This is John Wald, hoping you've enjoyed our comic opera and that you'll be with us again the first chance you get. Until then, goodbye.
Oh, my. Fibber McGee and Molly from January 2nd, 1956. Surprised there were no Groundhog Day references there on Classic Radio Theater. We hope that if you want to build a classic radio collection of your own, one of your first stops should be Ted's Place over at radiomemories.com. That's radiomemories.com. Ted has a huge library of programs that he makes available at a very reasonable price on cassette, CD, or flash drive. So if you're not internet connected, that's a great place to go. radiomemories.com. And you're thinking you're not internet connected, how do you get there? Contact this radio station or contact me. Classic Radio Theater, HC33 Box 33155 in Ely, Nevada 89301, and I will put you in touch directly with Ted or have Ted get in touch with you. Our webpage, if you are internet connected, is classicradio.stream. There you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting. You can find out all the stuff that I talk about here at the end of the show. Classicradio.stream, including all of our social media contacts. And by the way, please thank this station, support their advertisers, tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.